Hey there, my family, my cadre of adepts. This is your Sensei Al Bob coming to you from deep in a undisclosed restaurant, you know, and I'm eating this reality, and this is what I've been writing. This is what I do every day. Before I go online, I write in my notebooks my thoughts, you know. It's a new age. Can't blame away our own selves. Now we build our own magic, where we are no longer afraid to strive and not to yield. So say we all. And, the people I'm looking at, whoops, yeah, Jason Maxwell, Romy, she's a doctor. Am not what I do about David Icke. You know, go to self, think of the 5 things. Before you go to sleep, think of the 5 things you are grateful about in that day. And that will push out any negative thoughts you might have and will bring forth the point of view that will make your life better and better. You know? John Lear, Max Igon, he's an Australian guy. You should really go check out his things. Surviving the Matrix. Um, yeah, it's the power of intent. If you're not okay about what you are, you won't be okay with what you become. You know. You know. The whole thing about our 5 senses. Very, very limited. Yet we, the powers that shouldn't be, use. Don't allow us. So, if you're looking through your 5 senses and you just see this red blotch that is everything, and then you move back and you see that blotch is a point on a red background. You step back and you see that red background say brick, and you step back and you see that brick is part of a wall. You step back, you see that wall is part of a house. You step back, you see that house is part of a neighborhood. You step back, you see that neighborhood is part of a town. You step back, you see that town is part of a county. Step back, you see that county is part of a country. Step back, you see that country is part of a continent. You step back, you see that red brick, that blotch, is part of the solar system. Step back, it's part of a galaxy. Step back. And that's what we need to do, is to step back and overstand and not be understood. When we use this digital universe, we aren't Googling. We aren't Googling. Google, we aren't fishing Google. Google is fishing us, right? And this is, you have to realize that our existence is within the frame of vibrations, meaning there's more space. This isn't hard matter. There's more space here. There's more dark matter, stuff that we can't see or understand in this table than the 0.005% of what this is, right? And we have to be able, like that brick, to step back and put all the dots into a reality. Mr. O, so, I mean, we have to get perspective within the construct of our, thank you, my friend. Yep, yep. Of our, who we really are. I'm not this avatar. I'm not this bag, that you see as Sensei Al Bob, I am this spiritual vibration that is part of everything, part of you. Why you come to this channel and listen is because we're like the bubbles here, you know. We are all these bubbles, and we're part of these bubbles, and we're all one. That's how come I can kind of, have kind of a connection. See, not all the time, but I can influence because I am part. I am the pebble in the pond. I can influence, right? If it's a beautiful day today, go outside, lie on the grass and look up at the clouds and do what I'm doing here with the bubbles. Move them around. See what you can do with them, right? This is all about what's going on here is my intent. Like, see, my intent's not doing too good right this minute, but I can influence, right? Can influence, well, kind of influence. But it's how strong your intent is, Are you going to let your delusion of your five senses, I mean, that's why science is a joke. It's not real. It has no connection to what's going on because although scientists live in a scholastic world, they are looking at the universe through a textbook, So it's kind of fun to be able to do that, But you have to have your intent, And, And when you think you're like, ooh, I'm so cool, I can move these bubbles around, it doesn't freaking work. Because my intent has left the building. Elvis has left the building. But when I connect with those bubbles, when I am those bubbles, yes, I can have an influence, right? And that's what I've been doing for the last 40 years. Having influence without having to be in the spotlight. So, the political, the religious, the environment, these are all illusions. What we have to do is connect to them and see all of the dots connected. Not one dot, carbon footprint. No, that's just a dot, Global warming, just a dot, And that's why it is irrelevant. But the connection to all our relations, that's when we actually can have an effect, you know? Oh, there's nobody there, nobody's chatting. Can you hear me? Can you hear me walking? Can you hear me talking? Well, so if you guys see this, I'm going to head off to the library in a little while. And you guys, I want you to view the last few shows and come up with a agenda that we can discuss, because that's going to be the process. Loud and clear. Thank you, Seb. I'm just going to call you S because my teeth, I don't have enough teeth to pronounce that. So, but how you doing? How you doing? Loud and clear, right? So, what do you think about the whole? Have you watched or understood or read any of David Icke's work? You understand him? That's, yes, it's a big smiley face. Okay, S. So that's how you. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. So so let's have it's you and me, S. So let's hear what's your insight on your experience of the five senses, and have you been going? Yeah, cool dude. Okay. So what's your understanding of silence? The Bible goes, and in the beginning, all things were dark. What does that mean to you? And in the darkness, there was nothing. Because, if you look up in the science book, the, the frequency of black is the essence of every color and frequency of light there is. You put together red, blue, green, yellow, all orange, all those colors, you get black. And what is light? White. It is a singularity. Silence is bliss. You got it. Where you're not being in silence, you're just there. So when we meditate, when we take in that 20% and breathe out the 30%, and I bring you through a guided meditation, I'm doing that as your sensei, Al Bob, right? Your griot. I'm telling you a story that will get inside of your conscious mind, not your conscious ascended free will, but your conscious mind, where the squirrel lives in there. And that's why I can quiet down the squirrel in the steel cage of the Rolodex of your mind and put your avatar on autopilot, thus freeing your conscious spirit of your ascending free will's wakeness to go into your Akashic field in your library and see what all of your experiences were, all through from the beginning, from the alpha to the omega. You can see everything. And right now we're at this really interesting, and S, I'd love for you to comment on what do you think this interesting point in time, why everyone's experiencing the Mandela effect, why things seem so strange, but if you put them in the context to all of history, no, it's same old same. That's because the powers that shouldn't be are constantly, reconfiguring history to fit their momentary agenda. And they are so, why do I not lie, cheat, or steal? Because it's too difficult, too complicated, you have to remember all of this. That's why they have to keep constantly rewrite history, right? Just to fit their momentary agenda. And they have no big picture. And that's why things get weirder and weirder. When that picture gets clearer and clearer, that's why we end up with, why did we have 9/11? Because you know, from the day Kennedy got shot, each president succeeding, things got weirder and weirder. LBJ, Vietnam War, Nixon, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George H., Billy Boy, no matter who they put in, they represented the same thing, just weirder and weirder, to the point where we have, DT, and the beauty of DT is that he's such a outsider pinhead. They put him in there because they wanted him to tear things up. Well, he's doing a great job, right? But he's, the outside, inside character, right? So they're getting the unexpected consequence, Twitter to Twitter, moment to moment. They don't know even what the fuck's going on. Yep, the dude from Denmark. Yes, I'd love it if you could put it on my the dude awake 42 Gmail. Send me any kind of links because somebody sent me a great link of a group of people that I just love. And oops, oops. And like Jordan Maxwell, the Dieter Factor, David Icke, Max Igon. He's an Australian guy. Really, I love him. And there's a woman who's a physicist from Europe who is just off the hook because I can tell, during the day she's like Catherine Horton, Horton. Go check her out. She's like off the hook. And these are all things that people have put down on my inbox for me to go take a look at. And I get 20 or 30 things on my inbox every day. And I get, 50 or so Gmails that I do my best to keep up with. But people leave extraordinary, links to go watch things. So whatever that floats your boat as, send it my way. And that's what I do before I do a live chat. I prepare, I write, I go watch things that people have sent me. I meditate on it. I try to put it together where all the dots can be connected and you guys can make up your own. Let's see, how's my intent doing? See, I'm like, my intent's not so great. So the bubbles just ignore me. Right? But when my intent is focused, I can move the bubbles. You can bring me my check, and I'll take a hot coffee to go and one with ice, or just a cup of ice, and I'll throw that in there. Okay.
Just a cup, or do you want another cup of coffee?
Another, because I'll finish this one. Another hot cup to go, and an empty cup with ice in it. And I'll put that in there. Yes, I like my coffee. So, I think I'm going to be. Let's see what you've been talking about. S feels like energy shift. Sure. Okay. Thanks, buddy. So, S, where do you live? What part of the planet do you hail from? It's one of the things I really love about Dreamy Dreamland's, cadre is that it's from all over the friggin' planet. We're not some homogenized tribe, Everyone, thanks, my friend, and my check.
Yep.
We're not some homogenized tribe, like, living in one place, feeling, we're the only right one, right? Correct one. Everybody else is wrong. We got to kill them. No. What's great about our cadre is that There's so many. Oh, thank you, my friend. Different points of view. So, oatmeal, my fave. Oh, Denmark. I love Denmark. I lived in Amsterdam. I lived in Gothenburg. I lived in Forshuka in Sweden. And I lived in Sweden in the early 70s. I don't know if the government still does it, but they used to give everyone in Sweden a vacation, not just, time off and paid their but they would send them someplace. You could pick where you wanted to go, get on an airplane, go visit it, they pay for the hotel, the tour, the food, everything, right? The Swedish folk were so neurotic and crazy because you lived in a place where half of the year the sun never set and the other half the sun never came up. You'd be a little twitchy too. Oh, you're right in nature, fresh air. That's a good place to be. Europe, even though the Romans cut down all the forests, they have some of the most beautiful land. And I was very blessed to be able to travel through it in the 70s and 80s. Wars were going on, there were nasty things happening, but not in the hate, violent porn of today. This isn't something new. We were experiencing this between the 1870s and the 1970s, the same hate, violent porn. We had a interesting little hiatus in the 90s when the wall came down, and we, squandered that opportunity because the powers that shouldn't be and the hidden hand, that was part of they thought they had that's 1,000 points of light, no. And basically, so S, do you know about the Tartarian civilization? That the powers that shouldn't be have been constantly re-editing history, since Sumeria, since the Anunnaki created our avatars and incarcerated us in these bags of water and put us on the ring of reincarnation, the incarnation of reincarnation, right? And it's you don't have to choose to be reincarnated. If you prepare yourself in every day and every way during your life to raise your harmonic, and that's why we have these chakras. They're like little benchmarks. When you're a little kid, and they, make a mark on the door jamb of how high you are, and you get taller and taller and taller. That's what we need to be doing harmonically, right? Raising our frequency through our chakras. Now, we are entering and have entered since 2012, really since 1968, the Aquarian age. And between now and 2078, we are, our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, our universe is harmonically frequency rising up, making it easier for us to ascend. And the hidden hand, the powers that be, the cartel, the mob. And if you were to go back and study the Persian mob, which was kind of like ISIS. It wasn't Islamic, but it was criminal. And ISIS isn't Islamic; it's criminal. And you know, Islam is no more violent than Judaism or the Roman, the Holy Roman Empire, which is the Vatican. And if we were to study, the three cities, the Pope has this little, pinhead hat, and it's got three levels. And the three levels are Vatican City, which owns our souls through admiralty law, and the city of London, which owns our economics, the cosmic clock. You know? And there is, where America lost its way. Not, I mean, it's lost its way from, the first incursion of Europeans into the first people's land back in before 1492. Basically, so there's the Vatican City owns our soul. The City of London owns economics. The District of Columbia is the military junta, right? Right in the middle, they put the Pentagon, right? You have to go look at the Act of 1871, when our Constitution was changed from "we the people" to, that has, our Constitution declares, and the Declaration of Independence. That's a more important document, Declaration of Independence, because it declares our sanctified right of we individuals having sovereignty over ourselves. And we come together to support that individual sovereignty as a unified state of citizens, we the people. 1871, we traded that for we the corporations, and our rights went away and became privileges, something that the corporations own. And if we're good, we get access to a privilege. And if we don't do what they want us to do, those privileges are taken away. But they're only taken away if you let them be taken away, right? See how the powers that be are like putting the bubbles all around me. Yep, even in court. Yep, the judge has a robe like a priest. So, the thing is, we don't have to tribalize this. We don't have to fight it with pitchforks and tiki lamps. No. We have to love all our relations, right? Because they are us. We are them. We have to let this experience come into our hearts and go from there, That's great. So, I'm going to probably have another one of these this afternoon when I get to the library. Yep, love is the only way. Because love is the only true reality. Everything else is an illusion of disharmony of frequency. The closer we get to love's harmony, the more silence we hear, to the point where all there is love's co-creation. Focus your intent. Focus your intent. That's right. That's why bliss is so full. And you can do anything with that bliss. You can accomplish anything. And why people are so distracted, so unable, is because they live outside the frequency of love's silence. Well, I'm going to go pay my bill. And you guys can think about what you want to talk about and put it on here on the chat. I'm going to come back in the next 5 minutes or 2 minutes or however long it takes me to pay this. We can chat a bit about that, and then I'll be off to the library. And it's probably pushing towards 12 right about now, so pushing towards about 1 or 2. I'll try and come back again, and we'll see about that. Okay, so give it a thought. Close your eyes. Go into state. Let the silence bring forth. Hey, Jane. Good to see you. Mr. Mike. You guys know S there? He's a friend from Denmark. So I'll be right back. Enjoy the bubbles. Oh, man. Ooh. Ah, oh yeah, yeah. Have you guys been talking amongst yourselves? The buffet, one of America's greatest inventions. The Atlantic and what went wrong? What went wrong? Are you talking about Atlantis? The culture? The social structure? Well, we can talk about Atlantis. I got stuff to say about that. So, yeah, around 2 o'clock, give or take, I'll be back and we'll talk about Atlantis. And I will steer the conversation about Atlantic and what went wrong. Yeah, Atlantis. Okay. And I'm going to put it in a Platonic context, in Plato's view, because Plato was one of those folks. He was a alchemist who, just like Newton and Galileo and Copernicus and Euclidean, Euclides and Sophocles, they were all, they weren't, you know, members of the Masons. They were shamanic alchemists. And, what they tried to do was just like guide us through the bubbles, bring out the intent. They didn't want us to tell us what to do, just give us a little heads up. So yeah, in about 2 hours or 3, I'll come back and talk about Atlantis. Again, the beauty of the YouTube is if you missed this afternoon's chat, go back and look at it. Or any of the other 500. And I would suggest that you go back to the beginning, right, from the first one and look at the first 10 or so, because they're really short. Because I was out in the deep green, I had no access to the internet, so I had to go to a library that had dial-up. And it would take about 8 hours to upload a 5-minute video. Anyway, but now I have the almost instantaneous ability to put this stuff up on the old YouTube channel of Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. And again, you want to get a hold of me? Get a hold of me at my Gmail, which is the dudeawake42 at Gmail. And you can go, and I would really love it if you went to my blog spot, my XRATTED blogspot, and read I've written 26 or so novels, and the one I got up there is just 3/4 of one of them. And I'm in the process of writing another 6. Spirit Science, Human History Movie. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Spirit Science. So that's Mike, if you could remember, all of you guys, if you can send me links on my Gmail, the Dude Awake 42. That's always the easiest for me. But I will go take a look at this. Spirit Science. And that's always my feeling about science is it's just another man's religion. And Mike, have you seen this scientist who's really, I love this person, Memorial Atlantis. Yep, yep, yep. The top. This Catherine Horton. I suggest everyone go look at her YouTube and her website. And you spell her last name Horton. But she is the bomb. You know, she's a physicist like at CERN, and she spends the day, you know, being a physicist, and then after all the crap she sees, and she comes home and vents on her YouTube channel, and she's got a lot of interesting information from where she is and what meetings she goes to, and she loses her shit. She really does, which I love. To hear a very conservative European woman physicist, go on about these fucking shitheads, blah, 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 blah. She just and she lays down some really, she's a scientist, so she takes everything apart and she goes and finds evidence and puts it up there. It's like, and then she, scientifically shows what's going on. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's Catherine with a K. Catherine Horton. Yep. Katherine Horton Horton. If you just plug that in there, her little YouTubes will come up if you're on the YouTube. What is? And she's the bomb. She really is. I mean, there's this other guy. Oh, he's Australian, and Max Igon, I think. He's quite. He's another. He really has his. What I love about this guy is that he's Max Igon, and he is like the clearest, lucid describer of what's going on without any. I mean, everyone has their own agenda and their own point of view, but he really does a great job. And he doesn't get, not like this physicist, Catherine, who like loses her shit all the time, which I love. I love the fact that she's so about it. And he's just goes at it, 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 goes at it. And so those two guys are like the bomb. And then, the usual suspects, David Icke and Jordan Maxwell. You know, did you ever go look up the Dieter factor? That guy, he's pretty cool. I met him in New York in the '70s, and he's an extraterrestrial. He's a tall Nordic, and John Lear, Carrie Cassidy at Camelot, station. Linda Moulton Howe, Joseph P. Farrell, you know, the guy who defined the breakaway civilization. He's a historian. His name always somewhat escapes me. When I stop thinking about it, it'll pop into my head. And who else is pretty good? Well, that's she's an economist. Oh, she was part of the Reagan administration, and she kind of unearthed what was going on. The black budgets, and they went after her tooth and nail. And a good place to go just to peruse is Coast to Coast. George Noory is a total sock puppet. I mean, he could never, ever even step up to a sand grain of sand above, up to Art Bell. Art Bell was amazing. He was like a one in a million. He was really really a great radio spirit. Catherine Austin Fitz, thank you, Jane, and she's really great. Right. So I mean, Coast to Coast is the best when George Norrie isn't on it. They have other people on the weekend and other times, and yeah, yeah. So the thing about misspellings, they are a spell. So Jane, you've read some of my writing on xratted.blogspot.com, correct? And I've had a lot of people go on, you need an editor. You really can't spell, meaning they don't realize that I'm all the things I have. Yeah, Art Bell forever. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that they murdered him. He was in relatively good health, and then he died. And he went on. The boys met him. Yeah. And so people. It always amazes me that people miss what I do. With the grammar and spelling. That everything's a metaphor. That everything I do in my writing has a specific reason harmonically, right? And it's basically just like these shows that I do. They're shamanic ceremonies, and all my writing is that. And that's one reason I left the last quarter of that novel not up. I just left those 6 cuts because you're going to have to read those like over and over again, and then bing, it will ease just like these bubbles. It'll ease into you, and you go, whoa. And relatively soon, I will put up once I can figure out. The other reason I didn't put up the last third of that, I didn't have it on the thumb drive when I put those 6 slices up, and I've misplaced the pin number. So, and that's why I need help, because I don't lose anything. I misplace stuff, and I need folk to help me find everything, to like organize everything, to know how things are done in this modern digital world of ours. Because your Sensei Al Bob, I'm just kind of doing my best, and I go along with, I let the universe take care of me, you know. Yep. So, but that's everyone's life. Everyone's what did you call that? Mystical, what was that? Mysticon Magico. Yep. Right. Yep. And everyone's life is that. It's just that we have to connect the dots, realize everyone in this dining room here with me is me. You know, they're all one soul having a multi-trillion individual avatar experience, right? That's love's co-creation, right? That's why everything works out, will work out. I mean, it might take forever, but that's okay, because if we're conscious, if we're awake, that's like going on a fun ride for eternity, you know. And that's one little exercise I really want the cadre to pick up on, and that's every night before you go to sleep, you look at 5 things that you feel blessed about experiencing that day, right? Put the dots together and see the blessings in your life. Because if you are not with your path focused on your intent, just like my intent was to move those bubbles. My intent didn't work here, right? Actually, the bubbles now are coming to cover me up because my intent is weakening, right? Except now, my intent is now kind of Okay, I'm just going to show that. Anyway, if you're not content with what you have, you will not be content with what you want. And you'll definitely not be content with the things that are coming your way. Okay. You know, Mike, I try to enter that. Mike, why don't you get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42? We'll have a conversation about all of this, right? How to organize, what to do, da 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 da. Okay? And then we can just go back and forth and work this out. And I know that we can, you don't have to be there next to me around the fire circle. You can be. I'd love it if you were. I want you all around. That's why I want to start, the Humanities Artist Trust, so we can have a vehicle that we can all share in, and that we can, within the constructs of our material world, have a revenue stream that will support us all, and we can use as an umbrella for anybody who wants to do anything, and that we can have our Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology, and you know, go, not be scholastics, be scholars, but within the construct of the institutional structure, we can let them fund us up the kazoo, right? They love to do that, right? I've done it many, many, many times. And I'm reaching out to the hidden hand, the powers that shouldn't be, the sock puppets, to say, listen, you guys are freaking out that you're losing control. It doesn't matter who's on the dollar bill. What matters is that love's co-creation is in control. And it's always, no matter what you think you're doing, love's co-creation is there. All of the horrible things, all the wars, all the catastrophes, man-made and hidden handmade, are there on purpose. That's love's co-creation's way. And and that's like religion is always going, oh, you can't understand God's way. Well, you can understand love's co-creation because it's only one thing, love. But when we are distracted by our five senses, none of it makes sense. Yeah, I appreciate that, John. So, and I am so pleased that everyone is building the cadre, the community, the chorus, the shock troops of love's co-creation. In your own ways, there on the digital platform. And all we got to do is ascend, and we're doing that every day in every way. So it's 54 minutes and 54 seconds, and I am going to keep, chatting away until it's an hour. And then I will kind of pack it up and head off to the library and do some cogitation and meditation on Atlantis. And I will go back on the channel on the live chat somewhere around 2 p.m. And I'll take it from there. Hey, Fugnuts. There's a bunch of interesting folk here today. And, in about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to sign off and go to the library and, as I said, do a little cogitation and meditation on Atlantis. And I'd love you all to come back, keep an eye out, try and come back around 2-ish, and that we can talk about Atlantis and what Atlantis is on every level, what it means, what it was, what its potential, what its connection, all of that. And we can talk about it. And we can be the Grandma's Council, where we what I'd love to do with our chats, especially our evening chats, is in the morning or afternoon when I come on, if whoever wants to come on and we, when I say set the agenda, it's let basically set the agenda for the evening chat. Talk about it, put up things. Oh, I'm thinking about this. So we can all come together and have you know, a collective grandma's consciousness on what it is. Now, you don't have to be a female to be grandma because grandma's the most responsible person in the room. And grandma is not just a woman. Men can be grandma too. Me, I've been a grandma many, many times. Because we all start out as women. Hey, Fish, isn't that true, Fish? We all start out as women. It's 9:24 for you. So 9:20. So you're in California or somewhere in that time zone-ish neck of the woods. I'm still, if only. But that's what I'm saying. Every zygoblat, once it attaches to its mother's uterus, that first 3 or 4 weeks, it's female until the blast of hormones comes in and picks the gender, right? And that's why we have transsexuals and homosexuals and transgendered and LGBT, because, see, everything isn't on or off or black or white. No, it's kind of like, and so when that blast of hormone comes in, you're not just a female or a male. You are, I mean, there are plenty of women who are more male than the guys who say, I'm a guy. Oh. I was part of this thing called the Harvard Color Study. I love the DOD. They name things so you don't know what the fuck they are. And what it was, when jets, it was in the 90s, when jets started to cost, 60, 70 million dollars instead of just, a couple million, and especially in the Navy, you get thrown up into the sky, and then you go after somebody, and you're heading straight at somebody at Mach 2, and they're heading towards you at Mach 2, and everyone's radar lights up, and then once you're lit up, you have about 80 seconds to figure out you have to make about 300 decisions, pushing buttons, stopping this, doing that, to survive, right? And they studied the fact that women, biologically and emotionally,